Welcome to another episode of the Neoliberal Round podcast. This is another quick news commentary brief entitled Understanding the TikTok Ban, Safeguarding American Interest in a Competitive World. Again, the title of this brief news commentary podcast episode is entitled Understanding the TikTok Ban, Safeguarding American Interests in a Competitive World. Now, I had initially published a commentary, an article, and a podcast episode sometime last year, 2023, in June of 2023, when there was the threat of a TikTok ban, which it's only until now that the Congress actually went through with this TikTok ban. And the TikTok ban, Congress actually went ahead and banned TikTok. When was it? Yesterday. It heads to, I think it has to go to the Senate and also to President Biden's desk. But in today's but I want to provide another perspective, because person have to be balanced. And I tell you, critical thinking is about thinking and rethinking what was previously thought. Some people call that flip-flopping. But there's no such thing. Nothing is wrong with flip-flopping. So long as there are good intentions, and human beings, we have a tendency of getting things wrong, and we have a tendency of revisiting and changing our positions. That's part of human nature. However, people, they have weaponized flip-flopping, or they have weaponized changing one's idea after critical analysis, calling it flip-flopping. But nothing could be further from the truth, and obstructive, and a subversion of progress. But here is the story that's available in the Neoliberal journals at neoliberal.com and in the Neoliberal Post at McKenzie.com. In today's competitive world, and I want us to consider the argument. Let's take our time. Let's slow down a bit for people who use TikTok. I am on TikTok as well. So, and I'm going to be fair, but I'm going to tell you that we live in a competitive world. And in today's competitive world, the global stage is fraught with political and economic competition. And one of the key players in this arena is TikTok. An imported good from China. Let me say this again. In today's competitive world, and let's think competitive now. In today's competitive world, the global stage is fraught with political and economic competition, and one of the key players in this arena is TikTok, which is an imported good or product from China. The rise of TikTok in the US market, has sparked debates surrounding its impact on American social media platforms and the need to protect national interests. Of course, there are 170 million Americans on TikTok or that use the platform. Now, China's strict control over social media within its borders contrasts sharply with the thriving presence of TikTok in the US. And for those of us who do not know as yet, just so you know, Facebook and Twitter are not allowed in China. They're not allowed in China. Yet TikTok, which is a Chinese product or company, is thriving here in the US. Now, this dichotomy raises concerns about this asymmetrical nature of the relationship, where American platforms like X and Facebook are banned in China, while TikTok enjoys unhindered access to the US market. I have a problem with that. We call it a case of TikTok toe. How is it that TikTok is thriving here in the US, but if China does not allow our product and services there, why are we allowing TikTok here in the US? That makes absolutely no sense in a competitive world. We live in a competitive world. There's no qualms about that. This is a competitive world. The ban on TikTok in the US, while seen by some, the ban on TikTok in the US, while seen by some as a violation of freedom of speech or freedom of expression, can also be viewed as a safeguarding measure to protect these same freedoms, but also American interests. By restricting TikTok, the US aims to counterbalance China's control over its media and prevent potential interference in American affairs. I don't believe that China or Russia can interfere in American affairs through TikTok. I mean, they can do that through Facebook and through Twitter and through any social media. I mean, with the kind of technology we have, with spy technology, so on and so forth, that can happen. You have to constantly build spyware and malware and equip the American devices and so on with the necessary firewalls to prevent and to protect interference or any kind of attack, cyber attack from other countries, which is tantamount to war. But outside of that, I believe that it is within American interest to ensure that there's level playing field. Not that America has operated on a leveled playing field when you think about neoliberal globalization and how that has affected islands of the global south. Nevertheless, we live in a competitive world, and China is America's fiercest rival. So of course we have to protect our interests. Furthermore, the ban serves to maintain a leveled playing field in the social media market, preserving opportunities for American businesses to thrive without unfair competition from foreign entities. Of course, Facebook and Facebook and Twitter has a responsibility, or American social media platform has a responsibility to learn from what's going on in terms of users of so many Americans are on TikTok. Why? Why is it that so many Americans are leaving Facebook and Twitter and going to TikTok? Why? It is because Facebook and Twitter need to change. They are charging huge sums of money. They have all these algorithms that limit and control visibility. Not much so with TikTok. And so there is something that TikTok is doing that is attracting traffic. And I think Facebook and Twitter X need to learn from that. The way in which Facebook and Twitter, they have a very draconian policy. Not that TikTok is free of that kind of policy, but as TikTok gains ground in the US, concerns about its impact on American businesses and dominance in the social media landscape become more pronounced. And just so you know, many businesses are driven or get most of their clientele through TikTok, because a lot of their clientele or clients are on TikTok. So over 90, I remember watching CNN, I believe, where one business owner was saying that they're not for the ban because most of their clients are on TikTok. But if they get rid of TikTok, then it's going to affect their business. In fact, or they have to move to probably most of their clients are going to go to Facebook and Twitter. Now they have to go to Facebook and Twitter, and again they are charging huge sums of money, and people are finding Facebook very difficult to use. Not so much Twitter, but all these companies need to probably change the way they operate to facilitate the complaints and the challenges that people are having. But as TikTok gains ground in the US, concerns about its impact on American businesses and dominance in the social media landscape become more pronounced. More so, it is affecting American social media platforms. But we need to improve our platforms and the competition, because we live in a competitive world. Now, while arguments against the ban may exist, it is essential to consider the broader context of geopolitical competition now. I'm speaking in terms of geopolitical competition. China's actions, including the banning of American social media platforms, underscore the need for strategic measures to safeguard American interests. In conclusion, the TikTok ban in the US represents a multifaceted response to the challenges posed by a competitive world. While it may initially appear as a restriction of freedom of speech or freedom of expression, it ultimately serves to protect those very same freedoms and American interests in the face of fierce global competition. Understanding the broader narrative of geopolitical rivalry sheds light on the rationale behind the ban and invites a reconsideration of its implications. Again, as I said to you, many Americans make money on TikTok, money that they will not make if they were on other social media platforms. So social media platforms in America now need to learn from this and see how they can deal with, instead of fighting TikTok using political legislation, develop. What needs to happen is that we develop security. One, if there are fears of people spying on America and Americans, develop the firewalls and the spyware and the web securities and so on and so forth. And then again, of course, make it cheaper, make visibility easier, make these apps, Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram, so on and so forth, make them more user friendly and accommodating. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Neoliberal, or watching another episode of the Neoliberal Round podcast. We have several shows that's coming up, several activities and events lined up. We are inundated. I am inundated with. It's a very busy season, very busy cycle. Again, we are working on the production. I know we have announced that we're supposed to be releasing a podcast dealing with support for Biden versus Trump, looking at how the support for Trump is growing. But what I have said is that support for Trump is growing. However, these African Americans, the black and brown people who are saying they support Trump, who are not necessarily college educated people, are not necessarily stable or do odd jobs for money. Many of these people, some of them are also probably have some level of education as well, but many of them are not necessarily going to vote. When you ask them, are you going to vote? No, they're not going to vote. But the people who are the very minute amount of people who are speaking, the number of people who are speaking who are going to vote for Biden, who are supporting Biden, are actually going to vote for Biden. And of course, many women are voting for Biden, and many of the women control the household in Philadelphia, and among African American communities. And many of these men who say they are supporting Trump, at the end of the day, it is the women that controls voting patterns within the household in these communities. And so at the end of the day, that's where the disparity will come from. But we'll continue to follow the story, and we're about to release the episode shortly, sometime this week, along with an episode featuring Renaldo McKenzie, who is my twin brother, who is doing an event, and we are working partnering with him, with Flat Rate Moving, with Sheldon McKenzie US Bank, to support the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Ricardo is having a tennis social charity event coming up on April 12th. You can, as part of the awareness, I think we can only have about 125 people in Little Silver, but it's going to be a tennis social event where people can play, have fun, eat, drink, and there's going to be live band and DJ, so on and so forth. And we probably will have a live link, and you can donate to the charity as well, to the program. You can go to the neoliberal.com for the link. Of course, you can continue to support us here at the Neoliberal Corporation and the Neoliberal Round podcast, as we continue to serve the world today, to solve tomorrow's challenges, and making popular what was the monopoly. Please visit us at the neoliberal.com and RenaldoCMcKenzie.com. Also, anchor.fm/the neoliberal. That's where you can also find where we are and where you can support us. You can donate to us. We're raising funds to expand the programming and to optimize, to acquire optimization tools and services so that we can make the podcast more visible and available. We also are on YouTube. Visit our YouTube channel and subscribe, please, at youtube.com/@Renaldo McKenzie. This is the Neoliberal Round podcast, brought to you by the Neoliberal Corporation. Walk good.